From the Terminator wanting to be a part of Sheridan's world to the Duttons' rich history opening up venues for multiple spin-offs, Arnold Schwarzenegger might be joining the Yellowstone cast. Everyone's favorite action hero wants a piece of the ranch, guys, and fans are super excited because if there's one show that can pull this off, it's Yellowstone. I mean, they've had their fair share of famous people coming in for cameos, backed up with some amazing plot twists, and surprisingly relatable family problems to make this a big hit. So of course, the Terminator wants in. In a super exclusive interview, Schwarzenegger confirmed that he would love to be in the Western series, since he thinks the creator, Taylor Sheridan, is a super smart guy who's done an amazing job with the story. It could happen, folks. After Harrison Ford was cast in 1923 and Matthew McConaughey signed on for a Yellowstone spin-off, Arnold wouldn't be the first A-list actor to join the ranch world. Even Sylvester Stallone has expressed interest in joining the Dutton family. He just wants to throw in his own cowboy hat before someone else takes up the part. I mean, he's played a cowboy before in the 1979 movie called The Villain, and he also has that look about him. You know he'd rock it in chaps, riding away on a noble steed. But that isn't how Hollywood works. The question you might want to ask yourself isn't whether or not the actor wants to be a part of the Dutton legacy, or if the Dutton legacy has a part for him. Well, let me clarify something for you. Schwarzenegger could have a part in Yellowstone's future. Now, we know that no one can play John Dutton like Kevin Costner can, so he can't be replaced. But with the patriarch gone, someone needs to keep the story going, right? We also know that after Part 2 of Season 5 airs, the original series will be over, and there won't be much room for the show to get back to its old greatness. Luckily for us, the last actor doesn't have to be the last act. McConaughey's planned sequel show will give other actors more opportunities to strap on their cowboy boots. The Dutton family has a long and interesting past that hasn't been fully looked into yet. Since they've been in charge of Montana for almost a century, Schwarzenegger's had many chances to show up and even become a big political figure in the state. I mean, he does have the swagger for it. The spin-off 4/6s will make this easier for him because the show is set in Texas. Fans will get to know a whole new group of people. But here's the thing, Yellowstone has become one of the biggest shows in the world. Would he be able to keep up with it? Honestly, I think he can. Just by looking at some of his best roles in the past, the guy's been acting since 1970. So I'm pretty sure he knows what he's doing. Remember his iconic portrayal of Conan the Barbarian? Back in 1982, Arnold showed the entire world what an amazing action hero he was. He was so believable as the wild warrior who wanted to kill everyone who destroyed his family. Even though the sequel, Conan the Destroyer from 1984, wasn't as popular, the actor had already established himself. And then he further cemented his place in history with one of the best science fiction movies ever made. Of course, I'm talking about The Terminator. If playing Conan proved that he was a Hollywood star, The Terminator made Schwarzenegger a world-famous action hero. After the movie came out in 1984, he became a cultural icon for playing a cyborg killing machine. That seemed impossible to stop, and was sent back in time to kill the woman who would save the world. He was so scary as the bad guy that the line, "I'll be back," became an instant hit, and paved the way for a never-ending film series. He topped that too in 1991 with Terminator 2 Judgment Day, when he came back as the lean, mean killing machine, but this time as the hero. In this hugely popular sequel, the Terminator looks exactly the same as he did in the first movie, but he's actually part of the new T-800 line. He teaches John Connor, played by Edward Furlong, that killing isn't the answer when it comes to saving lives. The action is still the best part of the film, but what makes the Terminator a hero is how he looks out for others, changes, and becomes better even though he's a robot. Can you believe Arnold made us feel things for a robot? So not many can say he's a bad actor, especially if you've seen him in Predator. In 1987, he was in the first and best Predator movie. He played the fearless Dutch, a veteran of the Vietnam War and the leader of a well-respected, resourceful paramilitary rescue team, who must finally face a chameleon-like alien species that killed his whole team in the jungle. There's a lot of violence, death, and corny one-liners. Basically everything you'd expect from an Arnold movie from the 1980s. And even as Colonel John Matrix in Commando, he was super amazing. By 1985, his fans were eagerly waiting for the action film to come out, and it took the world by storm. Because of this movie, he often played ex-military men who played by their own rules and rained hellfire on whoever stood in their way. But don't think he can't do anything but action movies. Have you seen him as Harry Tasker in True Lies? His performance as a government agent who's both a spy and a family man is almost as good as Jamie Lee Curtis's performance as his wife Helen in the 1994 James Cameron movie. Without a doubt, the movie puts the thrill in thriller, and it also showed fans that he wasn't just an action star, he was equally as charming as a romantic lead. I mean, you can fight me on this, but Harry and Helen's chemistry was a big reason why the movie made over $375 million around the world. Or if you want more proof, look at Junior. Okay, I'll give you this. The movie is a bit kooky. This was the first time working with the legendary comedian Danny DeVito, and he plays a guy who gets knocked up. Even though the movie isn't great, it was funny, and it helped Arnold show people that he could do comedy as well. So now I'm sure you know that he can do just about anything. But can he play a cowboy? Yes, he can. Like I've already mentioned, he's done it before in The Villain. The California governor has had a lot of interesting things happen in his life. His resume is impressive, and it includes the 1979 comedy western where he played the cowboy Handsome Stranger. He was even considered to play the leading role of a fantastical western written by the great Bud Boticher. While the movie A Horse for Mr. Barnum was never made, getting chosen by such an incredible icon from Hollywood is an achievement on its own. Plus, it would have really helped him with his Yellowstone casting. I would go as far as to say that if that movie had been made, Arnold could have been the face of the Dutton family from the get-go. We would have been saying "Hasta la vista, baby" to Costner. But since that didn't happen, it's possible that the Terminator could use the 4.6s to get into Yellowstone without too much fuss. Or he could have his own spin-off, and not just for him, but for other big names too. And with all the new projects for Yellowstone in the works, it won't be hard. Sheridan has written new original stories for the series. He cast Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren in 1923, and he also has another prequel in the works called 1883. It stars Sam Elliott, Tim McGraw, and Faith Hill. But while all of this is pretty exciting, even Taylor can't do anything until their current problems are solved. With Costner leaving and the WGA writers' strike in full effect, nothing can happen until the OG story is wrapped up. Of course, with all these things going on, fans are still pretty excited to see the unstoppable Schwarzenegger show up in this Western world. As the Yellowstone series moves into new areas, plans are already in place to continue the story. As McConaughey has already made his way into the Yellowstone world with his southern drawl, there's so much more to the Dutton family history, so it won't be much of a stretch to have the actual governor of California play a part in the Western. Well, from the Duttons' rich history opening up venues for multiple spin-offs to the Terminator wanting to be a part of Sheridan's world, here's how Arnold Schwarzenegger might be joining the Yellowstone cast.